Agents nab suspected Chinese spy in Zimbalist. An interagency operation on Thursday arrested a jet fighter pilot of the Chinese People's Liberation Army in a rented apartment here in Iba. Now, Iba is about an hour north of Subic Bay, and the barangay that they're talking about is right on the beach, right on the water. And for reference, the disputed Scarborough Shoal is located pretty much just west of Iba, about 150 miles. Nice round number, out in the West Philippine Sea. So this gentleman is arrested in Iba at an apartment right on the beach, 150 miles that way, Scarborough Shoal. So they arrested him in his rented apartment. The gentleman is 30 years old. Intelligence records reveal that he's a graduate of the Defense University of Mongolia and Civil Aviation University of China, and obtained a license as a People's Liberation Army jet fighter pilot from PLA Air Force Aviation University. Now that's a whole lot of education. The guy's 30 years old. While in Zimbalist, he was enrolled as a student pilot at a flight school there, allegedly financed by the Chinese government. Now the sentence is not exactly perfect, but it seems like the Chinese government is paying for his flight school training to go there. Let's see, where he acquired dual-use aviation skills, potentially applicable to surveillance or military ops. Now there's just speculation in there, which poses as a strategic location risk. Okay, so here you go. Here's a sentence down below. The suspect's operations in Iba are about 120 nautical miles. Let's see, which raises serious concern that his training flights are being used for reconnaissance, surveillance, and intelligence gathering for China, especially during his solo flight training. Okay, so the guy's got to go out and conduct solo flights around that area over the water. And, you know, what is he doing? What is he carrying? Is he carrying electronic devices? Just taking pictures? Who knows? Several aerial photographs of the Iba airport and the river up there were seized from the suspect. I'm going to throw a question out there that was posed on this post, and a gentleman asked, how can you differentiate a spy to a tourist? This is just somebody asking the question. How do we know that the guy, you know, wasn't just up there trying to get his commercial pilot's license where he can go work for an airline somewhere and he's just trying to get away from China? Well, they obviously know a lot more than this little article is putting out there. It's like 0.5% of the whole story about what everybody knows. But I find it hard to believe that they're just going to go single out a random Chinese guy taking flight lessons and charge him with some type of espionage charge. So you can draw your own conclusions and your own suspicions. But if all that information is correct, you have a PLA fighter jet pilot going to flight school an hour north of Subic Bay, and 150, 130 miles from Scarborough Shoal, and so which gives him legal access to fly around in that area and collect intelligence. While I was reading that, I found another article. February 13th, 2 Chinese nationals suspected of spying were arrested in separate operations down in Iloilo by armed forces of the Philippines and immigration. Let's see. Suspected of spying. Basically, they were running a business down there and didn't have the proper documentation, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Going back to the question that the gentleman asked, how do you know they're not tourists? Well, they're were allegedly conducting spying activities out in the sea, the Visayan Sea and the Sibian Sea, if I said that right. But they're suspected of being spies because they have connections to previously arrested individuals arrested and charged with spying in Palawan, who are known as the Palawan Five. Okay, so that doesn't seem like they were just down there trying to live life. They have connections to other people who have been charged as well. So I'm like, all right, well, who's this? I don't know which order to go in. This is from January 30th of 2025, so let's go back a year. 5 foreigners nabbed for alleged spying ops. They recovered video footage from drones and military-grade high-resolution video cameras disguised to look like civilian security closed-circuit TVs. So it's CCTV, but when they get into it, it's a much higher quality military grade, if you want to use that term. And the data collected from these solar-powered video cameras were being sent real-time to a remote location. This article I'm just reading from the pna.gov.ph, the government website. It wasn't just that they had CCTV around their house. These things are solar-powered. They're putting up in locations. They're transmitting the information. Come on, these ain't tourists. Why in the past the ships were always aware when we deployed Coast Guard and naval resupply ships. Photos recovered include images on the naval detachment Oyster Bay in Puerto Princesa, Palawan. Let's see, which is part of the Philippine Navy's Naval Forces West, positioned near the contested West Philippine Sea. Again, there were 5 folks. They claimed to be members of civic groups, some volunteer groups, and some association of the promotion of peace and friendship. They're all under NGOs, charities, do-gooder type organizations. That's their cover. They also posed as buyers of seafood from the locals, particularly lobsters, and have even befriended local officials. So they're going in there, throwing some money around the local economy, probably spreading the love to the local officials who aren't going to dig too deep into what they're doing. The arrests were made following pursuit operations on January 24th to 25th in Palawan, Ninoy Aquino International Airport, and in Dumaguete. Now remember, this is a year ago. The first 2 articles I read were just 2 days ago. Now I'm talking about a year ago. Other images, they got pictures of ships, Navy ships, maps overlooking Subic Bay International Airport, and Naval Operating Base Subic. So how do you tell that they're not tourists? Come on, just put together what they're doing. The evidence that they're talking about here, come on, res ipsa. They're collecting information. They're collecting intel. More footage of Coast Guard vessels. So you put the pieces of the puzzle together. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what they're doing. NBI denied claims that the government is targeting Chinese nationals in its operations. We are not targeting the Chinese. It just so happens that there was a violation of the espionage law. These people happen to be Chinese. There, that's a perfect response. Don't apologize. Too early to tell whether acts are state-sponsored. Come on. People from China aren't going to spend their hard-earned money to go somewhere and conduct these operations on their own. It's obviously state-sponsored. While it is known that images and videos being taken by the suspects are being forwarded, where they were sent remains unknown. He also said this case is just the tip of the iceberg and that many individuals behind these kinds of activities have yet to be caught. He also admitted that the 5 suspects are related to the case of the alleged Chinese spy arrested January 17th in Makati, along with 2 Filipino accomplices. So they're not just arresting individual cells that don't know the other cells. Okay, they're arresting cells, but they're putting the pieces together and connecting them in some form or fashion. Okay, so this is the one that I found interesting as well. I mean, pretty interesting that they arrested a Chinese fighter pilot going to flight school. That's pretty interesting. But this one's interesting to me too. 6 foreigners nabbed for alleged spying ops in Subic. This is March 26 of 2025. Okay, they arrested 6 Chinese nationals and their Filipino bodyguard suspected of engaging in ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations in Grande Island. Grande Island is the island that's right there in the mouth of Subic Bay. During World War II, the United States had a coastal artillery battery stationed there because it's the perfect way to defend Subic Bay. Now, when I was living over there, like when I first moved over there, like, what's going on with Grande Island? Everybody said, oh, the Chinese owned it, the Chinese are buying it. I don't know all the politics. All I know is the perception in my mind was that the Chinese were trying to buy it or buy businesses or the resorts or whatever the hell. That was the word on the street. A report from the military goes to the NBI. So the military says there's 6 people on the island being closely monitored for suspicious activities involving collection of sensitive data related to critical infrastructure and data affecting national defense within the area. Here comes the interesting part if you're still with me. The NBI said the individuals were occupying the island under the guise of recreational fishers, frequently lingering at the wharves. So we're just over here fishing. But witnesses reported that the group was using high-tech drones in the guise of transporting fishing bait to conduct surveillance on naval assets, including those from local forces and allied nations passing through Grande Island. Now, what they're talking about, and I've done this myself just to test to see if I could do it from the shore of Beloit Beach. And basically what you do, you take your drone, and they make these different systems to do it, but I just did it with a paper clip. I put a paper clip hook underneath the drone, and I put a loop in my fishing line, and you just put it on there and have the drone take the bait out. So instead of having to sling your fishing pole, which you're not going to catch anything from the beach at Beloit Beach, but I had the drone take it way out into deeper water. And you get out there and it's pretty simple. You just turn the drone around and back up, and the bait will fall into the sea in deep water. Now you might be able to catch a fish. I forget what they call it. Is it drone fishing? Anyhow, I did that years ago as a test. So it is a legitimate way by using drones to catch fish. But if somebody would have approached me, I'm sitting there with some beer, my kids, the old lady, and a DJI Mini. Ain't nothing high tech about it. And I got a damn paper clip, and I'm doing it in front of everybody. I'm not over on Grande Island hiding out, focusing on the ships. I was focusing on the bait, right? I was trying to see myself catch a fish. It would never happen. So the location, it allows them to see all the ships coming and going. No problem. On March 19th, NBI agents, together with the military, arrived at the target location to conduct the arrest and carried out a hot pursuit, which yielded photographs and documents of Philippine and U.S. naval assets. Electronic gadgets containing surveillance photos and videos were also seized, together with fake documents and identification cards. So let's ask the question, how do you know they weren't just normal tourists over there drone fishing? Well, a typical tourist don't got fake documents, fake ID cards, and oh, by the way, they got a Filipino bodyguard who's arrested for possession of an unregistered firearm. So you just add up all the pieces, folks. You don't got to be a rocket scientist to know that something's up. It's a Janet Reno. You might not be able to figure out exactly what the problem is, but you know there's a problem just by looking at the situation. How do you know I wasn't up to something? Well, I don't have a damn bodyguard with an illegal weapon, fake IDs, and footage, and documents, and so I think I have enough confidence that they didn't just go out there and arrest 6 tourists trying to go fishing. All right, but that's just me. Let's see, they're using a false name, false documents, obviously the firearm problem. US, I don't know exactly what's going on. I keep calling it Hanjin. I know it has a different name over there now, but when I first went there, it was the now defunct Hanjin shipyard. It was a ghost town. A couple of security guards over there. The lockdown went on. It was the whole area was a ghost town, but Hanjin was always a ghost town. We used to camp over there, hike around the mountains. U.S. company has taken it over, and I don't know exactly what all's going on over there now, but back when we were there, it was a ghost town. So obviously with the U.S. moving back into Subic Bay, with this shipyard going operational, China is obviously going to ramp up their human intelligence operations over there. And then now this recent arrest of a reportedly fighter jet pilot going to flight school up there. So there you go. That's my update. A lot of y'all are planning on moving over here, retiring over here, and you probably are just watching videos on cost of living, retirement type videos, stuff like that. I just thought I would throw stuff like this out there so you know what's going on. So since I started filming this, a couple more articles come out. They're basically saying the same thing, but intelligence sources also indicated he previously served as a soldier with fighter aircraft experience, and that his aviation training in the Philippines may have been financed by entities linked to the government of China, although authorities said this remains under verification. Bottom line, Chinese military fighter pilot arrested in the Philippines while attending civilian flight school in close proximity to Scarborough Shoal. Okay, but wait. Before we go, let me defend this young man for a minute. Got to play the devil's advocate. You got to look at the situation from all sides. So basically the first part of the show, I presented what the media is putting out and the message that's beginning to circulate. But I just pulled up a couple of quick queries. Foreigners generally cannot serve in the People's Liberation Army of China. Now they're saying this guy's a Mongolian citizen. Military service law of the PRC states that active military is limited to citizens, and China does not recognize dual citizenship. Strict political background checks further restrict foreign-born applicants. Okay, exceptions. While highly unusual, there have been rare historical instances of defectors joining, such as a Taiwanese pilot who defected to the mainland. Okay, they let him join the PLA. So, in summary, according to the Google search here, foreign nationals cannot join the PLA, restricted to Chinese citizens. And again, they do not allow dual nationality, so somebody would have to renounce their previous citizenship, become a Chinese citizen, to even consider military service. So, is this what actually happened? The gentleman served in the Mongolian military. Okay? Not the Chinese military. But he wants to be a pilot. Okay, so let me read you this. This is from a flight radar post. It says, where do Mongolian pilots go to flight school? Mongolian has a population of just 3 million people and has no flight schools within its borders. So what's the solution for aspiring pilots? Turns out many go to the US to train, but they can also join the Air Force and go to Russia. Hear about this gentleman, let's see, he flew MiG-29s earlier in his career. He now flies for a commercial airline. Okay, so say the gentleman joined the Mongolian army. He wants to be a pilot. Assessing the growing PLA Air Force Foreign Relations program. So the PLA has this foreign relation program. Let me get this a little bigger here where I can read it. 2001, they begin providing training for foreign field grade officers. Okay, to date of this article, more than 600 Air Force officers from 75 countries have attended, all different types of countries. Even in one of these courses, it says the Philippines sent some people. So, is the media, is the reporting not being totally accurate? You know, maybe this gentleman just attended a course, this foreign relations program course over in China. And then they're twisting the facts to say he's a Chinese fighter jet pilot with the PLA. So something's not really adding up here. If he's a Mongolian citizen, according to this, he can't be in the PLA. They don't accept dual citizenship. Is the young man just caught up as a victim of circumstance? He wants to be a pilot. He served his home country in the military. He went to this foreign exchange program. He went to flight school in China. And now he's just trying to get his commercial pilot's license where he can go to work. He ain't got nothing to do with China. However, the fact that he spent so much time or some time in China at training courses put on by the Chinese military, what does that allow? That allows a time period of programming and recruitment. Why do you think China or anybody puts on these foreign relation type programs? Well, okay, yeah, come on over here and train with us. But all the intel guys are trying to turn them. They're trying to flip them. They're trying to recruit them. So, did the guy start out innocent? He goes to China, he's in this program, gets recruited. Okay, now you work for us. We'll send you to flight training over here, but hey, you got to do a few things for us. Tit for tat. I don't know the real answer, but I thought that it's pertinent that I at least put that information out there in this young man's defense. Again, we only know 0.5% of the story in open source right now. Who the hell knows? But if you just quick research of, hey, can a Mongolian citizen serve in the PLA? All the responses are no. But can people go to this Air Force Academy under foreign relations programs and receive training? Seems to be yes. So the gentleman may not be a soldier with the Chinese PLA, but he can certainly be an asset of the Chinese PLA. And again, the media often get things wrong. But behind the scenes, what do they know that I don't know? Again, I find it hard to believe they just went up there and picked the dude out of the pile at random. There you go, folks. Things that make you go, it's not my lane. Not my position anymore to figure all these things out. It's other people's responsibility to figure this shit out. I just put the information out there again. If you're thinking about retiring in any certain area of the globe outside your home country, you probably want to at least read the titles of articles. just to start getting the feel of what's going on in that area. What are the local political problems? Even though you can't vote, you don't have a say. The say that you have is whether or not I want to move there with these events or these incidents going on. And that is within your control. So I'm just currently sitting in the Philippines. If I were sitting anywhere else and something interesting popped up, open source, I'd bring it up for your consideration. Take Kiev, for example. You know, right up until bombs started raining down on the Ukraine, people were talking about how much are condos, how much does it cost to buy a condo. People are moving to Kiev. Oh, my retirement over here is great. You go look at these videos. A dude will do a video, you know, the year before about, oh, I just bought a great condo for X amount of dollars. And then the next year the video is escaping how I escaped the Ukraine. All right, there you go. Things that make you go, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.